Hey creators, now that we are in a project lifecycle and you've been successfully funded, congratulations. We're now going to bring your project to life. In this lesson, I'm going to guide you through the exciting and crucial step of placing your first purchase order with your manufacturer. Placing a purchase order, which is also called a PO, is more than just a transactional exchange. It's a significant milestone. After countless hours of developing, launching, and marketing your product, it's finally time for it to become a tangible reality. But as exciting as this moment is, it's also one that requires careful attention to detail and a clear understanding of the key components and best practices involved. In this lesson, you'll learn the ins and outs of a purchase order, how to communicate effectively with your manufacturer, how to set up quality control, and the payment terms. A purchase order, or PO, is a legally binding document that outlines the specific details of your order. These are the different details that will make up your purchase order: product specifications and quantity, price per unit and total order value, delivery date and shipping terms, payment terms and method, and any special instructions or requirements. Your PO serves as a contract between you and your manufacturer, ensuring that both parties are aligned on the expectations and obligations of the order. It's a critical tool for holding your manufacturer accountable and protecting your interests as a buyer. When drafting your PO, it's essential to be as specific and detailed as possible. This is where having a comprehensive product specification sheet comes in handy. Your spec sheet should include all the necessary information about your product's dimensions, materials, colors, packaging, and branding elements. Attach your spec sheet to your PO to ensure there's no room for misinterpretation or miscommunication. As well as the specification sheet, you should have a pre-production sample in your hand, which your manufacturer has made for you, and you have approved that product for the supplier to now go into production. In addition to the spec sheet, consider including the following elements in your PO. PO number for easy reference and tracking, your company name, address, and contact information, manufacturer's name, address, and contact information, itemized list with the SKU numbers, descriptions, and quantities, unit price and total price for each line item, shipping method and carrier, delivery address and contact person, any required certifications, inspections, or testing procedures, and the payment schedule and terms, for example, 30% deposit and 70% balance due upon shipment. By providing this level of detail up front, I've ensured that there was no confusion about what I expected in my final product and how it is to be delivered. It also made it easier to hold the manufacturer accountable if there were any quality issues down the line. I've also included a purchase order example template for you. So when you send your purchase order to your supplier, they should also create and send to you their pro forma invoice, and the two should have matching information and be signed and stamped by both companies. Next, let's talk about the importance of effective communication when placing your PO. Even with the most detailed spec sheet and PO, there's always potential for misunderstanding or miscommunications, especially when working across different languages, time zones, and business cultures. That's why it's crucial to establish clear lines of communication with your manufacturer from the outset. Before placing your PO, make sure you've had a chance to review and discuss the final product specifications, pricing, and timeline with your key contact at the factory. Don't be afraid to ask questions, request clarifications, or raise any concerns you may have. Once you've placed your PO, keep the lines of communication open and active. Schedule regular check-in calls or video conferences to review progress, discuss any issues that arise, and maintain alignment on the order details. In my experience, one of the most effective ways to ensure smooth communication is to establish a single point of contact on both sides. Designate a primary liaison within your company to handle all the communications with the manufacturer and ask them to do the same. This helps streamline the flow of information, minimize confusion, and build a strong working relationship over time. Next, let's talk about quality control. Of course, even with the clearest communication and most detailed PO, issues can still arise during production. That's why it's essential to have a robust quality control plan in place. Quality control, or QC, refers to the processes and procedures used to verify that your product meets the specified requirements and standards. It's about ensuring that what you receive from your manufacturer matches up with what you ordered in terms of both quality and quantity. There are several key stages of quality control to consider. Pre-production inspection. This involves reviewing and approving the final pre-production sample before mass production begins. It's your last chance to catch any issues with materials, colors, dimensions, or functionality. In-process inspection. This involves monitoring the production process at various stages to identify and correct any issues that may arise. This can include random spot checks by yourself or a third party, which can be personal visits or even video calls. Final inspection. This involves a thorough inspection of the finished products before they are packed and shipped. It typically includes visual checks, functional tests, and packaging audits to ensure conformity to your specifications. Container loading inspection. This involves verifying that the products are properly packed, labeled, and loaded into the shipping container according to your requirements and international standards. This is usually done by a third-party quality control company, which you can hire for a pre-shipment inspection, and the cost is around $200 for a very detailed report on your final goods. As a buyer, you have several options for setting up quality control. You can hire a third-party inspection company to visit the factory on your behalf, or you can send your own QC team to oversee production. Whichever approach you choose, the key is to have a clear and documented quality control plan that outlines your expectations, acceptance criteria, and reporting requirements. Share this plan with your manufacturer upfront and make sure they agree to comply with your QC processes as part of your PO. Let's take a quick look at a real example of a pre-shipment inspection report and how to analyze it to approve your goods for shipment.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to show you real quick an example of what a final inspection or a pre-shipment inspection report will look like and what are the main things to look out for when you're using this report. So first of all, we can see that this is for a kid's scooter. And you can see here the purchase order quantity was 4,000 pieces, and in the inspection they're going to be assessing 200 pieces. Now the most important thing to look at in an inspection is what's called the AQL level, which is the accepted quality level. You can see here you can have minor, major and critical defects. Minor, you're allowed 4%, major, you're allowed 1.5%, and critical, you're allowed 0%. And what that means is a minor defect might be there's a scratch mark or a dirt mark on the scooter. A major defect might be like the handlebars are 1 centimeter shorter than specified. The handlebars still work, but they're just shorter. Critical would be that the wheels don't turn, the product doesn't work, right? So they're going to look for 4% of that 200 pieces. Now, as you scroll down, it says that this inspection did not pass and it didn't pass for workmanship. Now we can be the judge of whether we want to pass it or not. You can also see that this report is 57 pages, so it's very, very thorough, very detailed, and a report like this costs roughly around $200 to $250. And you can see here the defects that they're talking about: poor printing on the logo. They even have a tape measure to show you the size of the scratch marks and things like that. And we can see all the defects and decide whether we want to accept it or not. They also scan the barcode, they look at the purchase order, they look at the quality, they look at the color and quantity breakdown, and just make sure that everything was there. Now, this is what we talked about, the minor, major and critical defects. So out of the 200, you're allowed 14 defects, but they found 25. And from those 25, 9 of them were a dirty mark on the surface. And within the major, you're allowed 7, they found 3. Within the critical, they found 0. So when I see a report like this, I'm actually okay with it because 9 out of the 200 just had dirty marks. So I would just inform the factory, wipe all the dirty marks, and then it's good to go, clean it. But if there were some major defects, like broken mark on the color box or broken mark on the handle, and there was a lot of them, then I would tell the factory to do the rework, and then we're going to do another inspection, and the factory should pay for the second inspection because you've already covered the cost of the first. So I'm not going to go through all these pages, but this is page 6, and you can see here all the reference images. You'll see how the boxes are packed inside, how the products are protected, the final goods, so you know that your goods have actually been made. Barcodes, again, packaging boxes, so it gives you so much information on the product. So this is just an example of what an inspection report would look like, but once again, just double check the total purchase order quantity, the sample size that they're doing, and then the AQL, accepted quality level. And then the first place you should go to is down here to see what the defects were, whether you accept them or not. And if you want any further information, you can ask the factory to send you photos and videos of these defects as well. All right, let's get back to the lesson.
Lastly, let's talk about understanding the payment terms. Your PO should clearly specify when and how you will pay your manufacturer for the goods. The most common payment terms in international trade are 30% deposit and 70% balance due upon shipment, also known as 30/70. The specific terms you negotiate will depend on your relationship with the manufacturer, the size and complexity of your order, the amount raised, and stretch goals in place. In general, the larger and more established buyers may be able to negotiate more favorable terms, such as smaller deposits or a longer payment window. However, it's important to remember that your manufacturer is also taking a risk by producing goods to your specifications. Providing a reasonable deposit and timely payment helps build trust and maintain a positive working relationship over time. When it comes to actually sending the payment, there are several options available, including a wire transfer, credit card, PayPal, or Alibaba's secure payment platform. Each method has its own pros and cons in terms of fees, speed, and security, so choose the one that best fits your needs and budget. As well as all aspects of your PO, make sure your payment terms and method are clearly documented and agreed upon by both parties before production begins. And always keep detailed records of your payments and communications in case any disputes may arise. To help you stay organized and on track, I've created a handy PO checklist that outlines all the key elements and best practices we've covered in this lesson, and I've included it below in this lesson for you guys. Use this checklist as a reference tool when drafting and reviewing your own PO, and feel free to adapt it to your own specific needs and circumstances. All right, I'll see you guys in the next lesson.